So today, what I think we're going to do is, and I've got some notes and stuff, we'll see how much of this we can get through. And is anyone here really good at web servers, by the way? Anyone really good at web servers? Dan asked for it to be recorded as he might be late. Yeah, so I'm going to start recording now. If anyone's decent at Apache config and stuff like that, I'm just having a weird issue with Apache config. Trying to get the CGI bin stuff working, but we'll have a bit of a play with this and do some cross-site scripting. Now, I know Christian, I think it was interested in cross-site scripting and stuff like that. So, look, I'm going to go back to our utility. So I'm in my my server in Kali, and I've gone to my Metasploitable and into utility. Now there are some other ones, by the way, DBWA and stuff like that. If you're ever, if you're interested, there are some other fun ones that you can kind of look at and stuff as well, and like a damn vulnerable web app and stuff. Gives you a hint. Default username is admin with password, but you can start trying to do some stuff there. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to try and do a little bit of cross-site scripting. So what's the issue with cross-site scripting? What do people know about cross-site scripting? And you can turn your mics on. Anyone know stuff about XSS, cross-site scripting? It's not.
To with somehow injecting code into HTTP headers of sites or something like that?
Yeah, potentially. So it's getting it to try and run a script or something that someone shouldn't be running, typically from another website. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be from a header. It could be just like, content stored on another page or something.
Well, isn't it like if they've got text box that they haven't fully checked out the vulnerability side of the text boxes to make sure that they can't put in like script, like alert and all that sort of stuff as well?
Yeah, look, yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's partly from text boxes and things like that. It can be. There are other ways to do cross-site script injections, but typically what it is to try and run some sort of a script that they shouldn't be allowed to run from normally a third party's website, right? It could be from their website as well. So for example, when we try and, I'm logged in at the moment as a user. When we log out. That's hilarious. I can't actually log out. Okay, let's just close it down and see if I can. Keeps going. Yes, it does. All right, cool. Very funky.
Do they generally use like JavaScript for that sort of stuff?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Okay, so look, first of all, log in as Samurai, the user Samurai, and a password Samurai, right? There's a username Samurai and a password Samurai. Now, we found that last week, didn't we? Or not last week, on Tuesday, didn't we? We found a user account there. Does anyone remember that? When we did the 1 = 1 kind of stuff.
Go to log in again, please.
So the username is Samurai, SAMURAI, and the password is Samurai.
Where are you after you and this OWASP? Where did you log in?
So first of all, login is normally up the top there.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I've got you. Thanks.
It's just I'm already logged in, and for some reason it won't let me log out now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, Samurai.
I might have broken something. And we're going to go to OWASP top 10, A2 cross-site scripting, reflected first order DNS lookup.
Hang on. We're my OWASP top 10. Cross-site scripting.
Reflected order DNS lookup.
Okay. Something's gone wrong with mine. I'll try it again.
Can they change like you know how you can go onto a website, right click, view what is it?
Like inspect element.
Yeah, use the page source and then go into like a div tag or something like that.
Yeah, we're going to do that in just a sec.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all right. That's cool. It's a good question. Okay, so we've got a text box here, right? Is everyone at the DNS lookup page?
Hang on. I'm a step behind you. Cross-site scripting.
Yeah, so OWASP 10, cross-site scripting, reflected first.
And DNS lookup. Yep.
DNS lookup. Okay, so at that point, we've got a little text box there, right? Now, look, I'm going to right-click in this text box and say inspect element. Right. And it takes me to a spot where I can see ID, target input, or target host input, type, text, blah, blah, blah. And it says size 20. I'm going to make this size, I'm going to make that number there, the number 20, I'm going to make that 40. So I've had to click in there a few times until it's highlighted. See how it's highlighted? It's a bit hard to see. So see how just that section has been highlighted? And I'm going to change that number to say 50. Now, this is not hacking, okay? This is not hacking. This is not cross-site scripting, etc. This is just literally changing what has already been sent down to my page or down to my computer, and just changing the HTML basically. And so we've just made it a bit.
Sorry, let's change to 20 again.
So see this part here, how it says size equals 50? That number was 20. So you need to just double click in there to get access to that. Now, the way I did that was right clicking in the box and choose inspect element. And that will highlight that little section. Then click a few times till you get your cursor flashing inside the box.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
All right, and see, look, you can play it around a bit. Look, that's not hacking. Some people say, like, you know, oh, look, you know, you can change stuff in the CSS and you can change stuff in all these locations. It allows you to see what's going on, but it's not really hacking, right? Now, we're going to do script alert hello script, right? So this was something like, I think, was that what you wrote to us, Christian? I think pretty sure that's what you wrote, something along like that.
Yeah.
So now these square brackets make a difference. The you know, the quote marks, all that stuff actually makes a difference. Now, just a quick little HTML lesson for you. Right, so, and that's also so that way you can kind of read it. This section here and this section here says begin script and then end script. That's why it says slash script. Right? So that's a begin script and an end script. Everything between it will be run as a JavaScript. Right? And so we've said this time, we've said, I want you to make an alert, and in that alert, I want you to say hello. And when we click on the lookup DNS, what will happen? What happens? Well, it should pop up a box that says something like hello. Now, if you didn't get it, it normally means you've got a typo in there, okay? It normally means you've got a typo. Have a good look at it. There's no spaces or anything in there either.
I had a good little thing during the when the kids are at home with COVID. He got a app called Dojo, which is a class sort of communication thing between parents that we had to use to find out what the schoolwork was all about. And he got into the Dojo and view the page source and change some of the HTML so it could say no homework this week. Well, he tried to show me, he tried to trick me, eh? So
Nice try.
But yeah, I was pretty impressed that he got into it. It was good.
Yeah, look, if you don't trust it, just refresh the page or something.
Kids are pretty smart these days, eh? It's great.
Yeah, exactly. And look, that's I mean, it's not hacking, but they're trying to get around it. Right? It's more like social engineering than anything else. Okay, so hello works. All right. So if hello works, what else could we do there? What's something else we could maybe do? Let's try something slightly more interesting. Make my box a little bigger so you can read it. Oops. And that's what I've got in as my script this time. Script alert, document.cookie/script. Now, what does that do? Does anyone have an idea what this will do?
That'll grab the cookie for the document, will it?
It should, yes. It should grab your cookie. And kind of anything else that you've got. Okay, so it says my username is Samurai, my user ID is 6, and my session ID is a series of numbers and letters. All right. Now, everyone's session ID will be different, okay? Everyone's session ID will be different.
That's pretty cool. How do you get other people's cookies?
Yeah, look, so if you can get that kind of a script to run somewhere, it's possible that you could get some information from them, such as, now you won't get their password, for example, but you'll get their session ID. And if you can use or craft your own cookie with that information, you could potentially get your own, or like take over someone's session. So not a particularly great thing to do. Or should I say, good for us, not good for them. Now, I was having a problem with something. Let's see if I've got it working. So I moved some stuff around.
You're using a private browser, say you went to a cafe and can they still do that while you're logged on, or does that just put you in as a new user every time you're using a private browser?
If you're using a private browser, it doesn't really matter. What the private browser does is just means that your own session cookies and stuff like that will disappear when you're finished, right? So if you go into, like, private window like that, everything that you do, right, will still be in your browser and it sends and receives information and stuff. But when you close the browser, that session information disappears. So your cookies will disappear and stuff. But that won't stop anyone that's doing this kind of cross-site scripting sort of stuff.
Okay, but you're fully logged out after the private browser's finished, so.
Yeah, look, you should still log out and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, so that's some of our scripting stuff. Ooh, let's see if we can get this working. Okay. I will. So I'm logged into Carly and I've just opened up one of my terminal windows, okay? Oh, what have I got? 6:30. So we've got like an hour. All right. Let's see if we can get this working properly. Plenty of time. So I've brought up my browser now. My browser terminal. What I want to do is I want to have something, and this is, so if I was running something like a script here, right, and I get this cookie, right, it comes up on the screen, right? I don't want it to come up on the screen. I want it to go somewhere else, right? I want it to go somewhere else. So what we need to do is we need to have somewhere else that can store this information, okay? We need to have somewhere else that can store this information. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get a web browser. Now I have a web browser running. Yours will probably say something like status inactive. I'll get mine back to the same spot. It should say something like that, inactive. Does anyone get something other than active? Or inactive? Yeah. Everyone's okay? All right. So we're going to try and start the service. All right. Now, what is Apache or Apache 2 in this case?
A portable web server?
It's not necessarily portable. Can be portable. It's not in this case. It's logged. You know, it's built into the system. It's running. So yeah, it's a web server. MAMP, M-A-M-P. What's the first M for? Scott? Oh, Mac. Yeah. Okay. So well, yeah. So it's the A in that, right? So we have LAMP, which is Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. We have WAMP, which is Windows, Apache, MySQL, PHP. I guess it should have made sense. Well, we have Mac or Mac OS, Apache, MySQL, PHP. It's pretty standard what we call a stack, right? PHP is a pretty standard programming or scripting language. Apache is a relatively common. The other one that you see a lot is maybe Nginx. Do we have it? We may even have it. Yep. So we have, there's also Nginx, which is another web server, and it's also sort of, used as proxies and a few other things. So we've got Apache. We're going to try playing with Apache because that's the one I was playing with earlier, and we'll see if I can get it working. We'll give it a few minutes, and if it does work, excellent. If it doesn't work, well, then maybe we'll move on to something else. Okay. So system control, start Apache 2. And it'll pop up a box asking you basically to type in your password, okay? So it's basically saying, look, someone's trying to do something, you require authentication. And then when I do this is status Apache 2, it now says it is active and running. Right? So we've started the Apache service, right? So it's a web application. A web service, should I say, sorry, not a web application.
Being asked for a password to start that service.
Yep, so it should ask for a password. If it doesn't ask for a password, you will be logged in as root. That's the only time it won't ask for a password.
Is that your password?
No, it'll ask for your password, like the one you use to log in.
Yeah, cool.
And so it should be up and running.
So at the end of mine, I actually have some orange text which says lines 1 to 15/15, then in brackets end. So that's after that whole stack there that you've got, but then just underneath that.
Just under that, it says like, it's got some extra lines before it finishes, basically, is what it's saying, I think.
Okay, yeah. And then if I attempt to start typing,
It won't do anything. Press Q and it should quit out of that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if it makes it so that way, basically this is not back yet, the prompt and stuff isn't back yet, you might have to press Q to quit out of the, it's got extended information that's trying to show you and stuff. All right. Next thing. Ooh, let's see if we can do this. Now I'm gonna become root, and it's not a bad thing, right? Some people will say things like, oh, you know, you shouldn't wander around as root and stuff like that. Look, you've got to be careful when you're running as like the super user and stuff, but it's not impossible for you to do that stuff, and there's sometimes some very good reasons to do it, and that's what we're going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say sudo su hyphen. Now the reason why I do it that way is because then it asks for my password, the password for Marcus, and now I'm logged in as root. All right. So privileged people get hash. There we go. I've got my little hash symbol there. I know I'm logged in as root. I can even say, who am I? And it'll say, you know, I am root. LWS. I don't know what that means. What is the password? I'm assuming you've gotten past that, Christian, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, so it'll be whatever the password was that when you logged in. As well. Okay. So we're logged in as root. All right. Let's check something out. So I'm going to go to my web browser again, and I'm going to go to localhost. There we go. I have a web page. It says it works. Congratulations. So let's test to make sure it works. Now, I'm going to say cd/var/www/html. So I've moved into the var www.html folder. And we're going to say nano new.html. So what this has done is two things. All right. CD says change directory, and I want to change to this folder. All right. And so we're now in that folder. And then I'm saying create a new file, right? Nano, right? And I want to call the file new.html, or I want to edit the file. It's brand new, so there won't be anything there. And it should come up to something like this, new HTML, new file. We're just going to put a tiny little bit of HTML. Now, anyone here good at HTML?
I wouldn't say good, but I know the basics.
Yeah. Now, just like our script stuff, everything that starts must finish, right? So here I'm saying, hey, everything from here on is HTML, and there's the end of my HTML. Then I've got a head, and so this is the title. This is going to be the title page, basically. Actually, head, I think I need title there first too.
Do you need doc file? Or is it because you're already in the file of HTML?
Yeah, you don't need a doc type, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's good practice, but you don't need it. I think it's title. Okay, so I've got a little heading there. Right. And then I'm going to put a body. this body section is basically going to be what is going to appear on the page, right? Now, is that big enough for everyone to read, or do you need it kind of a little bit bigger? Might make it a bit bigger. Now, you don't have to type all this kind of stuff, by the way. I'm just doing enough kind of stuff there that we'll see that this is a page and stuff, right? Okay. So all I really care about is I've got some sort of title, and then I've got a body, and then there's something written inside the body. Then I close the body, and then, whoops. Justify. I don't know what happened there. I pressed the key combination, it did something for me. There we go. And when you're ready, Control O to save the file, right? Now, it doesn't need to be super special. To be honest, the only thing that really matters is you've got HTML, you've got body, you've got something typed in there, you close the body, you close the HTML, right? But there's enough there now that it's going to look like a pretty page. And you know what? We don't even need, I'm not even going to get out of this. I'm going to go back to my Apache page, right? So in my browser, and I'm going to put new.html. There you go. There's my page now. Now, it's not a very pretty page, okay? I know that. It's not very pretty, but it's there.
Where is that page stored now? I've used a portable one before where you store it actually in your own file. So where's this one stored?
Okay, so this is stored in this folder /var/www/html, right? So that's our folder in a file called new.html. So that's it. That's the name of it.
This is in your Linux.
Yeah, it's in the Kali machine itself.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
No, so we can't get it out from there, so to speak, not easily. So when you're finished with it, right, and you can see a page, it doesn't really matter what's there as long as you can see a page. Control O to save the file, and then Control X to exit. And you should be able to go to localhost /new.html.
You can still store it on your desktop in a file that you've opened, couldn't you? If you made that script.
Yes and no. You'd have to tell the Apache web server where to look.
Okay.
So the thing here is where we are is var.html. That is actually where the Apache web server looks for files. Okay.
And then you have to, if you're going to do that, you have to have like a new script with a source file and all that sort of stuff, wouldn't you? A source script. So you could ask Kali Linux to put it on the desktop.
Yeah, look, you would have, well, what you'd have to do is you'd have to configure Apache to say, look for files on the desktop.
Okay, cool.
So it's not impossible, but yeah, it's typically not a good thing. All right, so we have that. We have the ability to make web pages and stuff. Now, how can we use some of this? Well, what I'm hoping we'll be able to do, and we'll see how well we go. We've got we've got plenty of time. We're going to try and get a script, or we're going to get a Perl script actually, to download, and we're going to try and see if we can run it as a CGI script. But the first thing we're going to have to do is make a few files and folders. All right. So I'm assuming everyone got it working. Why is that constantly bringing stuff up for me?
No, not me. I can't.
No, you didn't get it working, or no?
Yeah, it said it couldn't find it, but I've done Control-O to save it. Looks okay to me.
Okay, so type PWD, short for Print Working Directory. Where does it say you are?
Oh, I'm still in the script.
You're still in the script. You're still in this.
Yeah, I'm still in that. I went Control-O.
So you go Control-O, and it'll say file name to write.
Yeah.
And it should have something like new.html.
Oh, well, it helps if you hit the Enter key.
Yep, press the Enter key, and then it'll say wrote the lines.
You do it. Sorry.
And then you can go to your page now. Does it work? Anyone else having problems? Now's a good time to speak now. Celeste, doing okay? Mr. Caffrey, I haven't heard from you yet. I'm assuming you're all right. People aren't very talkative tonight. Okay.
Maybe it's a bit like Ferris Bueller's Day Off tonight.
Yeah. What, they're all pretending to be there and they've all just walked away or something?
Yeah.
So, all right. Let me mark the role quickly then while I'm doing it, because it told me I need to mark the role. There we go. Motif. And here we go. We got stop the screen share so I can use my two screens. So Blake, is Blake Albrecht here? Blake is not here tonight. Michael Bell's not here at the moment. Matt Caffrey's claiming to be here. We'll see. Dean, I'm sure I saw Dean earlier. Yep, Dean's there. Kathy's here. Daniel Forrest is not here. I guess he told us he wasn't going to be here. Ben's here. Josh Greenwood. Yep, Josh is here. Mark Hicks is here. Mr. Hicksy. Tariq is Tariq here? Tariq's not here. Not yet. Tariq's there. Kristen. Yep. Jason Murphy. Jason Murphy. Yes. Scotty May. Yes. Josh Mackey. Josh Mackey doesn't look. Oh, yeah, it's Josh Mackey. Celeste is here. Sai is here. And Christian's here. All right, so that's kind of everyone. Awesome. Find XSS folder with big list of naughty strings. Not a bad site with Metasploit basics. Yeah, look. Have I seen? I swear I've seen that before. Maybe you put it up there for us.
Yeah, it was another site, but this one seems to have a lot more.
This one's got even more. So you're out hunting these things, are you?
Yeah, password cracking. So, just to test it out, some data, because I've mucked around with some database stuff before. It'd be good to know. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Now, I'm going to spend a minute or so just having a quick hunt to see if something is set up or not. What we got in there? Okay. BRB, world is on fire, and I need to call a client. All right, fair enough. Life's like that sometimes.
BRB.
All right. Trying to see if we've got CGI configured. Apache ports, mods enabled. Okay, so that's probably where I need to go. Can I see CGI in there? No. What's it not enabled? Do we want to try and do that? Maybe it's enabled. Icons there. I'm just trying to see if CGI bins are. So CGI is short for Common Gateway Interface. So it's a way for us to talk to the talk through Apache. Doesn't look like it's enabled, and that might be why I was having problems before. Right. Document root, so if you're interested, by the way, that's how it knows why we're using var dub as our HTML file. Right. So it says, okay, for any site working on port 80, this is where you can get some webs. This is where you can get web pages from. I reckon that's where the problem is. See if I can. I'm just going to quickly do some Google. CGI, on the page. Actually, CGI. That's way too much text to type. That's really annoying. Maybe I won't do it. No. You know what? Let's do it. Can I get it to you an easier way? And that's what we need. I want to put it in there. Okay. Let's upload a file. Put something somewhere for you. Script alias. Actually, no. All right. Let's do a quick little bit of typing. So I want you to type that out. Nano /etc /Apache. You guys aren't afraid of your keyboard, so we're going to type all that. That's going to allow us to edit a default sites.
You're not sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Have I not been sharing my screen the whole time? Damn it. So you guys have just been hearing me talk to myself. Sorry about that, guys. That would have been boring as all hell because I thought I was showing stuff. Okay, so we're going to edit this file by typing nano etc apache to sites default blah blah blah. Thanks for telling me that. I stopped it while I was typing my password in so I could mark the role properly. So we're going to edit that file. Now, for those of you that are interested in moving things around or how Apache works and stuff like that, this is what's called the virtual host file, right? It allows us to have, it's kind of how web servers have multiple people that are allowed to use, or we can use the same web server to have multiple websites. This is where it knows where the documents come from for web pages, right? So it says document root var dub dub. Right? Okay, cool. Very handy. So if you want to point it to your desktop or something, well, that's where you would have to change stuff. It wouldn't work very easily because you've got all kinds of other problems with it. We're now going to add a little line in here, or a few lines. We're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of text. Now, I've just tabbed in to make it neat. Okay, so I tabbed once. And we're going to type this in. We're going to say script alias /CGI -bin. That says, look, if I say something is at like a website /CGI bin, for example, localhost /CGI bin instead of localhost /new HTML, right? I want you to look for files in this location. That's our first step. Then I'm going to say directory user, /lib bin. Make this a little bit bigger for you. Allow, override, none. Now this is just some nice pieces, really. This one kind of really does make a difference. There's options. Allow us to execute CGI.
They come in.
Don't allow multi-views. And plus symlinks if the owner matches. All right. And the order is allow, comma, deny. So it'll first allow things, and then if it doesn't find something, it'll then deny it. Close off that directory section. So what we're saying is, look, there's going to be an alias here. So we're going to say, if someone asks for the CGI bin, send them to this folder. This is our directory. This is what we're going to allow to happen. Actually, it might have been. So we're going to do that. Control O to save. And that's just before our error log kind of stuff. I'll give you guys a minute or so to.
So does it matter? I just realized that I actually typed that script in actually right at the bottom. So after all the error log stuff.
It needs to be before this /virtual host stuff.
Ah, damn it.
Now you can, and this is a really interesting kind of thing, right? If you've actually accidentally typed it wrong, and what you can do is you can see how there's a cut and a paste. So
yeah.
if you say Control K, that will cut a line, right? And then you can say Control U, paste. Now what's really kind of cool, you can go cut, 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 move to your new location and say Control U, and it will paste everything that you've cut. So when you cut, it'll cut one line at a time. It's kind of a cool weird.
That script that you just wrote for our error logs for the web page, and if you open up like the all tools developer tools, you can see the error logs in the web page.
This stuff you
Yeah, like the stuff that you just wrote, and once we muck around with the web page a bit more, like this is the header. We open the on the web page the more tools, and then go into developer tools. It'll show us all the error messages and stuff like that, will it?
No. These error logs and stuff like that are stored on the server. So they're for developers and system administrators and stuff like that to take a look and see if anything has gone wrong.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what that's kind of for.
Ah, damn, it didn't quite work that way. It cut all the lines, but then when I hit paste, it only pasted one of the lines.
Ooh. Okay. Sorry, you only got one. Did you move the cursor around or something?
Oh, as I was cutting, I had to keep scrolling up to each line.
Okay. It should have worked.
Control U is paste. Yeah, it just keeps pasting that same line that it got before. It's all right, I'll just retype it. Oh, whoops. So because I originally saved when I put in that code in the wrong spot, now I've moved it back up and saved again. Should that override what I did wrong before?
As long as whatever you've got is exactly as you want it to be, when you save it, it will save whatever is the current version. So if I've got something, for example, down the bottom, and I go, oops, and I save it, when I delete that and save it, that's now the written. That's now what's there. Okay, anyone still trying to write this stuff for us? Everyone's feeling pretty good? Anyone got any issues? All right, so we'll write it. Right, Control-O writes all that sort of stuff for us. Now, it needs to be exact, or at least like there can't be any errors and stuff like that. It needs to be exactly as all that is done. So double check it one last time. And then we're going to Control-X to get out. Now, we can test the Apache 2 environment and stuff like that. We can kind of run a test to see whether or not it'll work. There is like a whole command that we can use to try and do this stuff. Apache control XSS. Okay, cool. So that said that there was a little bit of an error. That's fine. It's not to do with us. Here for a second, I'll show you that again. Apache control status. That didn't work. Apache control. Restart. Yeah, illegal syntax on line 24. Now, does everyone say that? Apache control restart. And if people have that option, I'm going to take a quick look and see what it is. So it was Apache control restart. 24 it says. I've got a space, sorry, in between multi-views and the dash, so that shouldn't have a dash there. It shouldn't have a space in there. So if you've done exactly as I typed, as I asked you, then we will all have that problem.
Yeah, how do you get back into that spot again?
So I typed nano, or I just pressed the up arrow basically, and that gives me my previous commands. And then I scrolled down until I got to that multi-views.
Let's remove that.
Yep, so no space between the hyphen and multi-views. And save it and exit. So it's my fault. Kind of good that I'm recording this one tonight, huh? And now I'm going to try Apache control restart again. No errors. Life is good. So now Apache has been restarted and we have the ability to use CGI. Now, why do we want CGI? Okay, well, I'm glad you asked. What we're going to try and do is we're going to try and set up a cross-site script. But what this script is going to do instead of sending the cookie to our page, right, or to our screen, we're going to send the cookie to our web server. So we've started a web server here, right? And our web page still works, right? We've got our web page here. Right? It still works. If I press my refresh button, it's there. Right? I get rid of if I just go to localhost, it gives me this web page. Right? So our Apache web server is working. Now, web servers are not just for sending information, they're also for receiving information, right? So we're going to create a little directory and we're going to try and use it as a location to store some data, okay? So back to our command prompt kind of stuff here. I'm just going to type cd to get me back to my home directory, right? So we're starting in a simple spot. And I'm going to type make a directory. We're going to include the parent. It's already there, but we're going to it's just a good habit to get into, I guess. And I'm going to say make a directory called var logdir. So that's sitting alongside the HTML folder is going to be a folder called log directory. So you can see now a log directory. That CGI bin's probably not there. You probably don't have that one. Right? And that's fine. I have an error. Could not reliably determine the server's fully qualified domain name. It should still work with that. Could not reliably determine the server's fully qualified domain name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then it said using 127.0.1.1, set the server name directive globally to suppress this message.
Yeah, you should be able to ignore that.
Oh, okay, good.
It's just basically saying, look, I don't have a setting for that, so I'm going to do something. All right, so now I've changed my directory back to my root user's home directory. I'm making a directory. There it is. Logdir is now there. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to change the ownership of that folder. I'm going to say change owner -data. Right, so that's the owner, and I'm going to put that twice. That's the Apache web server owner. I'm going to double check it. Oh, that's owned by root. That's interesting. Okay. So change owner -data twice. So that's the owner and then the group that owns it. Maybe it wants to be Apache too. /var /logdir, our logging directory. Now, when I look at that, it says, okay, that's owned by -data. Next thing we want to do after we've is we're going to change the mode of the file. We're going to say chmod. So that's changing sort of what we're allowed to do with the file. I'm going to say 700 /var /dub. So it's a good idea to make sure that, look, not anyone is just allowed to do stuff with that folder. So that changes the permission of the folder. All right. So here we've changed the ownership, and there we've changed the permission. And yours should. Sorry.
What's the 700?
Okay, so the 7 says the user that owns it is allowed to do anything. And then the group that owns it is not allowed to do anything, and everyone else in the world is not allowed to do anything. That's what that means.
Okay.
Right. It says, set the permission to read, write, and execute for the directory. So that's what that says: read, write, execute. But only for the user that owns it, which in this case is www-data. Okay. Now, we're going to change into our /user /lib/CGI bin folder. Right, you should be able to, I've got a file in there. I'm just going to remove it. There should be no file in there. If you do an ls, it should give you nothing. Nothing in there. Now we're going to get a file. Now I have placed this file already for you. This logit.pl file, I've already created it. What it is it's a script that will basically run, and hopefully when someone hits it, it's a cookie sort of generation script, or it reads the cookie information that we send it. So you can get that from marcus.herstick.com/logit.pl.txt. Should say it downloaded the file. So wget marcusherstick.com/logit.pl.txt. And that will be placed into our user lib CGI bin folder. If you're not keeping up, let me know, especially.
Hang on,
What step you're up to?
I've just got to type that in. I just changed to that directory.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll keep it on the screen.
What was the little custom script that you did?
What is this script?
Yeah, the one that you said that you've already pre-made. What language is it? PHP or?
No, it's a Perl script.
Okay. How long is it like to get all this? What is it? Are we allowed to see it?
Yeah, of course you can see it. If you type less and the word logit.pl.txt, it will show you the whole script, or it'll give you the script in a way that you can start moving up and down and read it and stuff like that. So it's a Perl script, and it says basically, look, we've got get today's date. It says go to the var www login directory. That's what we've got. Create a file in that directory called log.txt, and then from the browser, print some information as to tell us what it is. Open the log file, collect data that we get from the users, right? Close the log file, and then a whole heap of extra little query string kind of stuff. Yeah. So lots and lots of query string, and then basically end the log.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
And then when you've finished looking at it, right, so you can scroll up and down with your mouse or whatever, and stuff. You can just press Q to quit out of that. So that's our file, right? It's like one I've prepared earlier for you. Right. I stole it as well, by the way. I think there's really only 2 people on the internet that are writing code all the time, and everyone else that's writing code is just borrowing someone else's and maybe tweaking it. Okay, next thing. we've got the file. We're just going to change the name. So I've stored it as a text file because I don't want it running as a Perl script. Like Microsoft. Yeah. Well, Microsoft are the bastion of all, you know, all good code writers. Yeah, borrowing code. Look, they're not the only ones. I think last week, Amazon, I think, well, the last few weeks, Amazon was caught doing that and building it into one of their commercial products. And the guy said, look, we're happy to do it. Just give us a, like, you know, give us a shout out. Okay, so we're going to move the file and we're going to call it logit.pl. Right, so we're going to say, I'm saying, hey, move the file logit.pl.txt to logit.pl. Basically, I'm saying just rename it. And now you will see logit.pl there. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to change the ownership. So change own, --data, :_data. Logit.pl. So I'm changing the ownership there. We can see it's now owned by www-data. Now the permission is still not great, read and write, but there's no execute permissions there, right? So to be able to run something like a Perl script like this, we've only got about 5 minutes, so we'll see whether or not we can get it done. I'm sure we will. To run a script like this, we need to have execute permission, right? And it's a little bit dangerous, I will be honest, it's a little dangerous. You shouldn't do this willy-nilly, but we want them to be able to run a script, because the whole idea of cross-site scripting is when we type in that little text box, we're going to say, go and grab this script. So we need it to be able to be executed. So we're going to say chmod 700 logit.pl. Yeah, exactly, Scotty. Why reinvent the wheel? And hopefully at this point, you will notice it's changed a little bit. All right, so now it's just read, write, execute. And we're going to test it. I'm going to say, hey, check the script logit.pl with Perl. And it should say syntax is okay. Perfect. Now that that's theoretically working, let's try and work it out. All right, let's see if we can do it. So I'll give people a minute or so to catch up, just in case they've got anything to catch up on. So we downloaded the file. We've had a quick look at what's inside it. We've changed its name. All right, so now it's only called logit.pl. We then changed the ownership to www-data. Then we changed the permissions of it, so that way we can get that little execute permission. Now, how do we use it? Well, there's two things I need to know. I need to know my IP address, the IP address of my computer here, right? Okay, well, I've already got that. All right. 10.0.2.4, right? That's my IP address. I need to know that because I'm going to tell, now yours might be different, of course. It might be 10.0.2.5, .6. If you need to know what it is, you can, I'll just do it here. You can type IP add, and it should tell you your IP address. There it is, 10.0.2.4. It's in that inet under the F0. We're not looking at the loopback. That's 127.0.0.1. We're looking at inet 10.0.2.4. So make sure you know what that number is, okay? Just that number. Let's go back to our Mutilidae. we're going to type in that text box again. Now I'm going to make that text box just a little bit bigger so you guys can read what I'm going to type in there. You don't have to do this part, of course, but let's go 50, let's go 75, why not? So I've got a nice big text box there. And what I want to do is this script is going to be a little bit different. This script says, okay, I've got a document at this location, http:// my IP address 10.0.2.4, and then CGI bin logit.pl. Right, so that CGI bin, that's all that configuration that we set up. We said, look, when someone says CGI bin, we want them to go to this user lib CGI bin folder. Then we said for logit. And then we configured that logit.pl. And this time, we're going to throw the cookies at that file. So we're going to try and get the information from these cookies that we got before. Right? We showed the cookie on the screen. Instead, now we're going to try and send it to the file. And we'll see if it works. So it's a lot to type. I'll just zoom it in a bit for you so you can kind of see it a little bit easier. Type that out for us. Now, a few things to note. Normally, this is where people have their problems. They either don't put those quote marks in, or they put them in the wrong spot, or they put the question mark on the wrong side of the quote mark. So that's probably where 9 times out of 10 the issue is.
What's the CGI stand for again?
Common Gateway Interface.
Okay.
Glad I looked that up before we started class tonight. Nah, I didn't. Probably should have, though. Okay, so if you've typed all that in, you don't have permission to access this on the resource. Okay, that's a bit of it's pretty close. You don't have permission to access this on the resource. All right. When I pressed back, hopefully it kind of came back. Pretty close. Let's go 75 so you can see it. Did anyone's work? I think everyone's won't work, to be honest. It's probably a problem with the CGI setup that I set up. You don't have permission. This is very naughty. chmod 777, that's very, very naughty. If that works. You don't have permission to access that on the server. Okay. Close but no cigar. But when we go back, we get all our, if I press back, I get that. Are you at least getting this? Are you at least getting a user, like if you go back after the error message, does it give you the username and password and stuff like that? Christian. No, it's not even giving you the cookies. It should at least be pumping it out to the page. Things all correct and stuff like that, and that your IP address is correct. It's a pretty good place to stop tonight, maybe, as well. I'll have a bit more of a play with it between now and Tuesday.
So what's the total outcome? So you're going to get the site cookies, and they're going to give you what, the usernames and passwords of people's cookies, or?
No, so what it does is it gives us their cookie, right? Now, in theory, what we can then do is if we can see if we've got their cookie, especially that session ID, what I can do is I can go in as that user, or I can pretend to be that user.
And they've got all the site sort of information and all their other sites that they've been to, or is it just that for that site?
It's just for that site.
Okay.
Right,
so can you manipulate that data somehow?
Yes. So if we're able to get that cookie information, what we can do is we can basically do what's called session hijacking, where we take over their session.
Is that like in the background too, even if they're in the middle of the session?
Yes, so if they're in the middle of the session, and assuming the system allows multiple people to be logged in at the same time, which most of them do, then in theory, yeah, I can start to sort of see what's going on.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it? That's good.
So yeah, so we can what we can do is basically try and go to that web page, and then we replace the session ID cookie that we have when we log on to it, or try and log on, and we replace it with our session ID, with the one that we captured, and that basically allows us to kind of be like a man in the middle, so to speak.
That's cool.
We'll see whether or not we can get it working. All right, so look, I'll stop the recording right now. As long as you're, well, if you get something like you don't have permission, and it should, if it doesn't show it on the screen, it should at least give you all that information up the top there. Right, like the username is Samurai, the user ID is 6, the PHP session ID will be unique. All right, if it's giving you that, it's trying to send it to our web page, logit.pl, but the Perl script's just not working. That's the problem. This script isn't working to capture the information properly. So I guess that's it. I should actually double check that. Yeah, no file was created. I was just double checking to make sure that nothing was created and stuff. If it works, we should end up with a file in there called log.txt or something, or whatever I created it as. We should get a file in there. But look, that's a good start.
I got an error message said I couldn't find the URL, which seemed a bit weird to me because I typed in what you typed in.
Okay. Now, what you need to make sure is that the IP address you type in. So I'll just make this bigger again.
I thought it was.
That IP address here needs to be your IP address. So if you don't know what your IP address is, you go IP add, grep inet, and it will show you your IP address. It's a quick little way of only looking at the IP addresses. That's the pipe symbol. That's the one we want.
10.1.2.4.
Okay, so you've put, and in the address, and in here you say script, document location, HTTP
Well,
10.
I'll go and do it again. I'm
10
just
dot.
to see why it's there.
Now you should also be able to just, if you click into the box.
Yeah, and you can grab the last one you did.
Yeah, it should have all the ones in there.
Yeah.
So I've got a 0 there. Yours will have a 1.
Yeah, well, because Ben and I had that issue.
Yep.
It's 10.0.2.4.
Yeah, but yours will be 10.1.2.4.
Yeah, 10.1, sorry, 10.1. I must have a spelling error somewhere in this command.
So yeah, it does need to be exact. You can't copy and paste it into it. So
Dot location. I'll just make sure I haven't got a spelling error.
some homework. Try to get it working. Who, for me or for you? Dan, you can get it working as well. It's my homework especially as well.
I've got a question.
Shoot.
Because I'm not used to the Linux interfaces and stuff, how did you open up your little inspector tool down the bottom there, like the developer tools on Google?
Okay, so I right-clicked and chose Inspect Element.
Okay.
Right-click in the box, basically, in the box. Wherever you want to inspect the element, right-click on it, and you get an option to Inspect Element, and it'll highlight that piece for you.
Thanks.
It'll work on any browser. Well, not any browser. Google Chrome, Firefox. I'm assuming it works on the new Edge if you're using it and like a weirdo. Safari probably. I don't know. I don't use Mac anymore.
Found the spelling error.
Found the spelling mistake. Yeah, look,
This could be a good typist.
it is one of those things.
Tonight.
So I'm going to stop the recording now. Look,